Hi, today I'm going to show you how to create the 3D camera tracking in PFtrack and 3ds Max to have the final result like this. Okay, so go ahead and let's start with the first step. The first thing will be to analyze your initial footage. If you make the footage yourself, then you have the data, but if you don't, you could also go and download it from a website called PFtrack. And yeah, so and this website allows you to use this footages for free in commercial or private use. And after you download, make sure that the quality is at least full HD or 4K. And after we have the file, just right click on it, go to properties and check the metadata. So we have full HD and we have almost 60 frames per second, which is more than enough, so we need a little bit less than this. But I don't recommend to get lower than 25 frames per second, so you will not have the shaking footage. Okay, so let's go first and see to have more details about our footage and the location. So the footage was taken on the coast city of Liverpool, England, and we can go in the Google Earth and just rotate around to see how the area looks and what kind of buildings are there. And it could give you the better understanding of what possible problems may have. So yeah. Okay, so it looks clear so far. Have a couple of old buildings, a couple of new buildings which are reflective and modern, and yeah. Okay, make sure that also the 3D buildings are turned on so you'll be able to see the data, otherwise it will be just flat. And now the second step would be to take this 3D model out of Google Earth and insert it in our scene for a better reference material. Doing this, it's a little bit tricky part. You're not necessary to do it all the time, but I recommend it to use it because it gives you the better references and understanding of the scene than without it. So to do this, you need first to have a Blender. I use Blender 3.1, I think, yes. So it's Blender 3.1. It's important to have this version, not older or newer, because we're going to use one plugin called Maps Importer, and it might not work properly with the other version of the Blender. So, and the other thing will be to install it, Maps Importer on GitHub. And as you can see, I will keep this link in the description below. We have the Maps Model Importer plugin for Blender, and with this plugin you'll be able to import Google Maps or Earth data in your Blender scene with all the textures and level of details. So to do this, you can also see the tutorial from the original author of this plugin. So it's also described the complete process, how to install it, and I'm going just to show you. So you need to go to Code and click Download Zip file, and then in your Blender you just go to Edit, Preferences, and click Install. Go to Downloads, select your archive file, and then click Install Add-on. So it will find and install all the necessary data in your zip file, and after you install it, you just need to check if it's was successfully installed. Just need to go ahead and type Maps and Maps Models Importer. If it stays there and the checkbox is on, this means everything is okay. The plugin was successfully installed and it's active. if not, then go ahead, try to read again the installation guide, and there are plenty of also YouTube tutorials how to install this plugin to Blender. If you have any problems, also you can leave a comment below. I will try to help and answer any questions. After you get it installed, you can just go ahead and delete this stuff. You need also to install the software called RenderDoc. You can also have this in the description below, RenderDoc. And I have RenderDoc 1.25. Let's go ahead and let's bring it here. Just click and run. Yes, so it's RenderDoc 1.25, but keep attention to the number of version, because it's quite important, otherwise you might have these compatibility issues, so some things might not work with different versions. Make sure that the version is matched the version what I have here, and after you have successfully installed the RenderDoc, this version, and the Blender with the plugin, you need to go ahead and create a Google Chrome shortcut. After creating a shortcut, just right click and properties, and you need to copy paste the string line below here in the description. So just click copy and paste here, but make sure that everything is correct. Set render hook. Yes, should be correct. Yes, make sure that you copy above. Okay, I think he forgot to place the quote symbol here also in the end. I will just copy mine and leave it also in the description below, so you have also no troubles when adding this string line. And that's it. So actually, before you go to take the grab the Google Earth data, you need to close the existing Chrome copies. Close. Also make sure to go on your task manager and in details tab and look for if there are any Google Chromes opened. Just close it with the end task button, but should be not if you just close it down here. After we have everything prepared, just double click on the shortcut. If you did everything right, there should be a small pop-up window with the code below. You need to go ahead and RenderDoc and select file, inject in process, and here a couple of times refresh just to be sure that this process is in this list, and start to search this code by typing this 1558. Okay, so it looks like this. Should be correct. Double click, and if you have no red text here, that means there are no errors here. After you double click it on the process, just click here OK. Okay, and then go to navigate to earthgoogle.com. For some reason it doesn't work with the Google Maps to me, so I have a lot of the problems. That's why I found a way that the Google Earth still work well. And make sure that there are no names or unnecessary data by turning off and make this the clean layers and turn on 3D buildings. Also make sure that your capturing area, the window area, it's better to maximize it to full window view. And to be able to grab the buildings, you first need to rotate around, so make sure that all 3D models are loaded up and there is nothing missing. So to do this, just rotate around and just zoom in, zoom out, but keep the distance not far away, otherwise you might start losing the small details, because the Google Maps have these levels of details when you zoom in, zoom out. So make sure that the distance to your object is not too close, but not so far away. You can just experimenting with this zooming in, zooming out, and after you found which distance looks good enough, you need to make sure that all the necessary buildings are fit in a window, like in my example below. So I think I will try to do it like this. Let's see. I also need to keep in mind that I want to have this rounded building as well, since it's in front of my camera. I will keep it like that, and I think that level of details is enough. After you position your camera, I prefer to make this above, because this way we could see that everything is fit in the camera. And then go back to Render Dock and click Capture Frames immediately, and then click again to your Google Earth, just rotate a little bit around, but not too much. Go back to Render Dock. Successfully, you would see there's a new file here, and it was like 164 megabytes. Looks correct, so you need to double click on it. Click File, Save Capture As, and since I already have this done before, I was not going to save it, but you just need to give it right name and just click Save. After you made this, you don't need to close this immediately, because you might want to have something different, or maybe the quality will be not so great. That's why I would recommend to keep it open. Then go just to your Blender and click File, Import, Google Maps Render Dock. Make sure that it's here. If you install correctly your plugin, it will be shown here. Just click on it and locate your Render Dock file. Just click Import Google Maps. Then you need to wait maybe a minute or so before it will import all the textures and 3D captured model in your Blender scene. So it'll take a while, depend on your PC. Okay, looks good. We need to turn on the textures here in Blender and import textures to make sure that everything looks good. Yeah, so it looks awesome, I think. Yeah, and I'm pretty happy with level of details. So you can see that it might not look exactly like in Google Maps, but I think it's only because we have a little bit far away from this object, but it's totally fine. I don't need like high details of these objects. Okay, so make sure that everything is fine and go ahead, select all the tiles and hold Control on your keyboard and click J to join all these small tiles, geometric tiles. So this way you would have one single mesh. Just select the mesh and go to File, Export, and save it as FBX file. Also make sure, yeah, everything looks good. Yeah, save the file, and we are good to go. I'm pretty happy with the result. So if for some reason it doesn't work with the Render Dock, or the process is not working, you can just leave a comment below in the description. I'll just go up and take a look what's the problem you might have and advise you. So once we are done, we could just close the Blender, and we don't need it. And we could also close the Google Chrome and Render Dock. I am not going to save this file, and go again to the Chrome and go and navigate to the Cadmapper website. And this website allows you to import the city data with the streets and some simple building blocks. It will be in the right scale. So I already have an account, so I need to just log in. And just click sign in if you don't have an account. You need here to navigate and look for the area you might like to use. And I already have done it before, so that's why it saved the location that I was needed. And make sure that you have selected the AutoCAD and turn on also free buildings. We don't actually need this, but I would prefer to keep this also, and set the false height data if there is no 3D data also, like something like 3, this doesn't really matter. You can also import the topography landscape material. Also, we will not going to use it, but we're collecting as much references as possible to make our scene looks better. Also make sure that you cannot capture more than 1 square kilometer, but you could just have a bunch of this, like just moving on this, save again and again. There, I think there are no limits in saving the pieces of the small pieces of your location. After you have, just go ahead and click file, create file. It will create a file for you. You just need to wait a couple of seconds, and when it will be done, you can just click download. Yeah, so as you already see from the preview, so we have some data for 3D buildings. It's quite simple, it doesn't need to be very accurate or detailed, but we have all the roads and everything is on the right scale. After you did this and download the file, you need to start with the 3ds Max scenes. Make sure that the units you're working are correct. I work in centimeters. Let's go ahead and check this. Customize units and system units, and make sure that this everywhere is set to centimeters. And after you did this, just click and import, navigate to your downloaded archive, like you need to unzip this file and import this AutoCAD data. It's in I think it's in DXF format. So if I'm not right, so the XF format, and you'll be able to import it. I'm going to show you because I already imported in the file, so I'm going to just open the scene I saved before. Checking and Liverpool. Yeah. So you could see that there everything is what you will have inside your AutoCAD file. So it's pretty cool because you also have this kind of buildings, and it's pretty okay to me. And here's our location. But to check if everything is correct, you need also to check that if the scale is correct. So if we set the building or we can just check the roads, how wide they are, and it should be around 6-12 meters. So this one is almost 6 meters, which looks correct. I think more or less, so it should not be accurate because you also this tests are not 100% accurate, but you just need to have an idea. The other thing is you go to Google Earth Pro as a software. You need also to download it. It's completely free, and go to this location and try to measure something like, I don't know, something straight, like for example this line here or this bridge here. So you could just go click the small ruler button, and in the ruler button just navigate to 3D path, since it's really important. Also select the, I prefer to have here in meters since the distances are quite big. So just try to look to place an accurate points as possible, but if you miss it, don't make any problem. I think we just need to have it a little bit above. Okay, so you can also move the line. So we have here almost 90 meters, and we go back to 3ds Max, and let's go ahead. Let's check if here we have something like, you can do this, or you can just use the normal tape. Make sure that you're picking the right so I was just going to specify and say like 89 meters, and it should be not exactly the same, but as you can see there we're not too wrong with the scale, so it's almost there, the scale is correct, and that's why I'm pretty happy with the result. Yes, so yeah. second step, I would just recommend to place this everything on one layer, something like this. So we can easily just hide it if we don't need it. So a nice thing, since you already checked the scale if everything is correct, and then you go to the next step and import this FBX file what we already have made with Blender. I'm just going to open this new scene because I already also made this. It's take a while. It's pretty heavy because it has a lot of textures, and depending on your graphic card it could also be a little bit tricky to navigate with the Google Maps 3D model. Okay, it takes a little bit longer. Yeah, so again, I'll let glare here. Okay, I think it's still loading. Okay, it's really heavy. But I know it looks like we did a lot of work where we didn't even start with creating and tracking, but it's all the steps are really important, because if you're not doing this, it will be might be really almost impossible to make a good tracking with this scene. So I'm just going to delete this, and we already have this Google Maps, and the tricky part here is just I'm going to unhide everything, and let's go ahead and just move it to the vertical layer. Okay, so we have Google Maps, so we have this Cadmapper data. I'm just going to turn on import clipping so it will not be flickering. Yep. So we have this Cadmapper data, and then on top you import Google Maps. It will be in wrong scale when you import because it cannot understand the render doc could not understand the real scale from Google Maps. So you need to scale this FBX file with the render doc according to your existing model. That's why I told it's really important to have this also with 3D buildings inside. And as you can see, just I scaled it like for something like 3680, but it doesn't necessarily all the time. It's quite random. Sometimes it could be completely different numbers here, so don't focus on this, but just to have an idea that the initial model was pretty small like this, and it was also rotated in the wrong directions. That's why your task here will be just to scale it up and rotate it also to fit the Cadmapper data and the existing roads. It should also not be 100% accurate because there are some small differences with the models and the capturing methods. Also you see that the landscape is a little bit off, but that's quite okay. So after we've done this, pretty happy with the result, and make sure that also the far distant objects are also fit your Google Maps data. So it's quite important just not to look around here, but also the far distant objects, so they also fit the 3D model from Cadmapper. It's also a tricky part, but since you have this done, you're almost ready for 3D tracking, and after you just need to save the file, and we are ready to go to PFtrack. Okay, so I'm just going to close it for a moment, and we go in PFtrack. As you see, I already made some stuff here, but I will show you how to create it from scratch. I think it's quite slow, but graphic card. The PFtrack, they also have like 14 days trial, but you need a credit card to edit. But they will not charge you anything for first 14 days, and after that it costs like 29 euro per month. And I think it's pretty cool because me personally, I'm not very often using this tracking videos. That's why it's quite cool that you just need it for like a month of work, and then you could just opt out and opt in when you need it again. And to me it's quite affordable price for such a great software. But you could also you should also need to know that the tracking, 3D camera tracking, you could also do in Blender and After Effects. It's maybe a little bit more tricky to do there, but I prefer personally to use PFtrack because it's really intuitive way of making tracks, and a lot of nice tools here inside. So first you start with a project and just click new one. I would quote Liverpool 1 and make sure that the path is correct where you're going to save. Just click the create projects. After you have created the projects, you need your initial clip, and then you drag and drop here the clip input, and click small import media icon. But before making this, there are also one step I forgot you to tell, that you need to go in create from your footage the JPEG sequence, so the software would understand it in a proper way. So to do this, I also need to reduce number of frames because I don't need 60 frames per second. It's for me, my 3D animation will be 25 frames per second. That's why I'm going to convert this to something different. For this particular example, I'm using Adobe Media Encoder. It allows you to convert your footage to any other format, also to the image sequence format. So go ahead and open it. I think there are also a lot of online converters for free. But if you have an Adobe Media Encoder, I recommend to use it because it's more easy way and more you can be able to control it in a better way. So in the first section, just go ahead and select JPEG sequence, JPEG. Then click here, left click. Make sure there is no audio, of course, and that's okay. Export the sequence. You need to change the frames per second. So I don't know why it disappeared. Interpret footage. Wait. Okay. So I'm sorry, you can keep this export as sequence checkbox, but here you just go ahead and change it to 25, for example, or something different. Definitely 60 is too much and unnecessary frames will be rendered, but I don't want to have this. That's why I changed to 25, click OK, and make sure to select your path where it will be saved, and then just go and start quit. And after you click this, it should have saved you like a bunch of sequence file. I made it like here. So I have 524 frames, and it will be 25 frames per second video. So you can go back to your PFtrack and select to your folder, the sequence folder. and find the sequence to be shown like as one file. But don't worry, just click load clip, or you can also preview if it's right. Just take some time to load. It's playing. Just click load clip and make sure that the frame rate is correct. So sorry, this should be 25. The rest is correct. I also click here like an auto camera because I don't know which camera was used in the drone. And I would go now back to project, no panel, and click to the tracking tab and select auto match. Just drag and drop and it automatically snaps there with the clip. With the clip selected, just take also I would say to make a cache of your footage so it will not be playing every time. Let's take a moment. And now I just click auto match. And to wait a little bit, and PFtrack create automatically track the necessary points to make a good tracking of your video. That's why I say that your video should be good quality as possible, and with some of the contrast points on it, so it could not be something like just the water, like an ocean, or I don't know, something like sky. It should be very possible to take some of the points which are not moving and they are quite good in good contrast, and then it will take these points and track them through the whole camera movement. So it's making it quite fast. So I think it will go once again. Okay. It looks like everything is correct. If it not really fits, there's also a way to do it with the I don't need it. PFtrack. It's a quite similar way. Just click on the PFtrack and it will calculate the tracking points automatically. But in this case, I will go with this new feature, auto match. Go back to the node panel, and I would say now we need to solve this, and go with the camera solver. And I will just go and maybe, yes, how it looks nice. And I will click here, solve all. After you get this thing solved, I will just select one of the points in our location and click here, set origin. So it will snap our group of points and camera to the 0 coordinates in our scene. Okay, looks good. Also, there are no huge errors down here. But I definitely don't need the tracking points far away, because it will make our 3ds Max scene goes crazy. It's 3ds Max don't like when the stuff is so far away and starts making some artifacts in your scene. That's why go ahead and select the camera. I think go in the trackers, click Mark V tool, and select all the trackers which are in the distance, and just click deactivate. Make sure that you selected everything, or turn down the brightness. Just go ahead and play it again. Okay. Yeah. I think it looks pretty good. So we don't have any points which are far away from our camera location. I'm going to stop this, and now we need to rotate and match the perspective from the grid to the correct one. So to do this, you need to go to, I think you need to go to utilities and orient camera. In the orientation tab, just click rotate and try to rotate to match this horizon line with the horizon line in our footage. It's going to be also a little bit tricky to do, but make sure that looks fine. Okay, so now you need to go back and select none, so you don't accidentally move something, and just go ahead and play again to see if the horizon line is more or less fine. Sometimes moving a little bit down, but it's okay. Now you need to build the correct scale between the points, so because also PFtrack doesn't know like how far away the vertices are. So to do this, you need to go to your Google Earth again and measure some of the distances. But before making also this, first you need to find which vertices, like which trackers are in the scene, and measure distance between them. They all should be in one level, so make sure that some of the points are not higher or lower, because it will be hard to measure and it's not so accurate to measure. But I like these two vertices. I think they're quite in one level and still not too far away, not too close. At the starting point, I think that's quite good. And if you go and look at the window down below, it says like the distance is 1 meter, which I think it's not the right. So we go back to Google Earth and try to measure exactly the same distance. And I'll just click the point here and click the point here. It says almost like 86 meter distance. So we're just going to say 86 meter. Yes. So if you could see that the grid became way smaller. But it's not only the job. So you need to test it between many different possible points that you have. For example, I wanted now to test it between these 2 points which are really close to each other, which is also good to test, but it's also not too close, because 2 points there could be huge differences, and I mean that's not also not the right way to do. That's why I try to find the points which are not too far away but also not too close to each other. This will give you a possibility to make the right scale between your trackers. And if you go back, just click here clear to remove the, and now we need to find this window. I'm sorry. Oh, here. And okay, so we can go and measure these 2 points between windows. Let's say like 8 meters, right? So make sure that the points are there and they're not somewhere there, or sometimes it's just missing with the snapping. So we have 8 meters here. Just now let's go and test this. If it says 8.4, which is also quite okay, because we might this is acceptable to have this errors, it should not be 100% fit. So I'm pretty happy with this result, so I'm going to save this scene. And to do this, we can just go to the node panel and select thing tracking. No, we select the scene export. Make sure here, if you're using 3ds Max, select the 3ds Max script. It will create all the necessary objects to your scene. Also, one more thing before you're doing this, you need to add some of the helping object in your scene, like 3D objects in the scene. To do this, you need to go to geometry and click image modeling and connect this again. Then click here, and it will create to open the possibility to draw some 3D objects here. So we just create 3 angles here and 1 triangle here, took a couple of this, also not too far away and not too close, just to have good supporting objects in your scene. And now go ahead back to the scene export and make sure the geometry is here, camera here. Okay, so yes, you have prepared the scene export. You need to select the 3ds Max script here, and scene scale also to set something like 100, and also make sure that the path is correct where you're going to save the file, and also the name. After you go to just click export, and you will say like export successful, then just go in your 3ds Max and that the scene is the right, and go and go to script, run script, and navigate to your script file. I would save it before. Just click open. And it will automatically create the camera and tracking points, also the keyframes for your camera. So, but you might also know that in this camera nothing shown, but just be sure to turn the clipping off. So you need to select the camera. Go ahead and select and turn off the clip manually. And now just go back and make sure that your data, I should create a completely new 3D camera and select all the data from also imported trackers and move it to the new layer so it will be easier to navigate. Turn off. And yeah, so looks good. Looks good, and make sure that you select all the imported files and just go and click group and group, because we are going to place this our helpers in the right position. Also the orientation of the camera is wrong now. Let's go back to PFtrack and see where we place this helpers, like these triangles, and as you could see it should be between these 2 points and somewhere in the middle of this street here. So I'm going to first place this helpers to the same level of the ground what we have here, and then I maybe just go and move the pilot point to this helper here. It's also move down. It's not necessary, just do a better manipulation. And then, yeah. So again, click. Okay. The only thing now to decide. That's why I told you like to create a couple. That's why now you could have an understanding that this triangle was marked on this building here. I had one more which was like this triangle. So the file was different. But let's move this triangle to the right position, like what we discussed before. And as you can see, it's a little bit smaller, so you can go in there and you see this almost in the shadow of this box, and this other one now like far away. So what you need to do is again the scale, and scale a little bit up, but not much, so just to make sure that this position is right, and also the rotation again. Something like this could be right. Yeah. Also, the issue now is how to place this triangle, faraway triangle, and I think we need to create a little bit more bigger, a little bit more, yeah, and then just rotate it down. And you can see that we are playing with like really small degrees, like, you know, just to make sure that it's more or less correct. And I think there's still definitely some like issues here. That's why I recommend you to have as many as possible helpers and many as possible references before you are going to track. It will help you to put the right scale to your scene and to your tracking points. But let's go now ahead and let's see from the camera. Also, you need to turn on the sequence file here, which also automatically was imported with the script file. So just go click on the use files and click apply to active viewport, and you will see our footage file inside the scene. So it's pretty cool. And let's go and check now. I would prefer to move the camera and see. So you see that some of the buildings are a little bit off the position there, which again, okay for now. Sometimes I just need to turn the wireframe mode to see if the Google Maps model matched the. So if I quickly turn on and off, you could see it's almost there, like maybe not perfect, maybe with some differences with the scale and the camera orientation. What we need to understand here that some of the objects should not move faster than the footage. So what I mean here, for example, if I have this offset from our 3D object of this building, it should not, the distance should not increase. If the distance are like between these points are increasing, this means something is wrong with the video, like with the scale, I mean. But as far as you can see, we're just a little bit off with the scale. But it's pretty okay as far as we are, as I told, that the differences between the footage and the 3D model are not going to go crazy. Like, you know, if we have them always more or less the same offset, then it's okay. So of course it would be perfect if we have like the good fit, but as you can see, this model is from Cadmapper. It's also not. That's why I'm going, I think, to hide it. And now I use only Google Maps file and try to match this. Maybe I will just move it a little bit up, and maybe I'm just going to rotate it, but it should be really. So if we move here, then we go on there. If we move it there. Okay, I try to scale it up a little bit. Also might help to fit the cap and rotate it. So you see it's more or less correct, but I don't like that this triangle doesn't fit the 3D model here. That's why try to move it down here, the X, maybe Y. So it's pretty okay, but still not So we need to play with all this scale, rotation, position. And as I told before, like, let's go and test it out. And pay attention on these buildings here if they are not moving. Okay, so you would not see that instance update with the footage, so that's why we need just to do it by hand. And okay, I think this one also like a good example if this offset not going too far away. Also too important to move it until the very end. And as you can see, it's still sticking good with the position of the camera. That's why more or less I'm pretty happy with this. We're still not exactly in the right location. Okay. So but you need to play around with this, and that's most of the trickiest part, I would say, in the tracking, because if you have not enough data or you did it not great, if you have still offset with the object, like huge offset, then I think the tracking was not done correctly, and you need to go back and try it different ways. For example, with PFtrack. PFtrack will allow you to track down the footage and also to remove some of the errors by ear. So you just can, after tracking, you will have this field here available, and you can just trim all the errors and the trackers which are not good. You can just remove them from the simulation. That's why if something is wrong, if you did an accurate scale of the Google Maps and you check the scale of your Cadmapper model, they fit together perfectly. That's also was very important part, as I told before, and it's quite important to keep this correct. Yeah, okay, so we have now everything and ready for our 3D model. And we can go jump to another scene. Now what we need to do is just to add our 3D model and render it without anything else in the scene, just with lighting. So I will just go and I think click on the version 5. But this is the most trickiest part in this scene, most complicated, like to find the right orientation of the camera and the scale of this tracking data. So let's take a while to load the footage. I'm going to close PFtrack. We're not going to use it any longer. Effects. I will go just run After Effects, and we're going also to close Google Earth. But as I told before, this Google Earth is quite important software to measure the scale, but also note that this Google Maps is also not accurate. There are also some errors in the scale. That's why it's important to collect as much as possible data what you have, and not rely on only one single source from Google Maps or from Cadmapper. They could be just simply wrong. Okay, so now we have this 3D scene ready. I just want to quickly show you how that was done. So I had everything except they're still in the scene, but I just hide it, and I just model over the ground and the wall, because we would see this in the footage. I just want to open it. So we'll just do slowly like scale here. Let's change the full. As you can see, there's I'll just hide it. Okay. So as you can see, it's pretty old and destroyed wall, and we're going to completely cover it with with a new wall, but in the same style as it should have the same level of details as existing models. That's why it's important to keep the level of details similar as the environment, and also the gamma of the textures and material should be close as possible to the surrounding, so it looks like something based in. But let's check our 3D scene. As you could see, we have a wall here which covers the existing Google Maps data, and we also have the ground which also covers the existing Google ground. But I don't render this Google, it's just for reference. Also, for example, as we discussed before, if in your case it will be like this, that this building should reflect this new 3D building, I would recommend also to build this in 3D, like new, and just replace the existing building. Otherwise, might be tricky to render only this wall on the one facade and to keep this realistic reflections as possible, but also possible. And as you can see, also I have this reflection plate from the same viewpoints. I have found it in internet, and we're going just to use it for the sense of realistic reflection in our glass. Of course, if your glass will be facade in focus, then that means that maybe you need to model some of the buildings which will be reflected and place them over Google Maps in the same position. But in my case, there was enough just to keep the planes with the pictures to have the good looking reflection. Also added some small details on the ground here, and we're just going to hide this. Maybe it's not the latest one, but it's totally fine. So maybe I'm just going to open the last one. And as you also noticed that I added the water also in 3D, and it's hard to note, but you see the different material here. I added the water also because we might have reflection from the building and definitely from the wall which we model it, and it will be just unrealistic if we see that's completely different reflections and shadows here. That's why it was not possible to keep the existing water. That's why I decided to model it and give it the similar material look as the original water. Yeah, so that's our timeline, it's loading, and let's go ahead and take a look what was done for the footage. Okay, so if you see that's a couple of masks here, as we have this one. So this mask they are all animated. It's and they used to, if I would just simply remove them first, you'll see that's we have like as an output from 3ds Max, like something like this. which is not really possible to use. That's why we need to add the masks to blend them smoothly in our existing footage environment. So I just go undo, mask removal, and first you need to think like step by step of what you need to cut and what you need to hide. So we had this light here, sorry, tower, I think, and the tower is also casting shadows on the water, which I didn't have done in 3D. That's why we need to cut the water that we would see the shadow from this tower also. And let's go back, look at our scene, and here are a couple of more tricks that I was done. And here I added the wall, which I didn't render, but I keep it invisible to camera, but still cast the shadow and reflection to our water, so it will be much easier to the masking process. As you can see, there's in this CG water there's still some reflection there, more or less realistic. Yes. And another mask was to cut, to make a cut from the building next to our building, and you can see there's a small error here. Like, to fix this, we would need to separately render the tree and place it like over the like it's a new layer. Yes, but maybe definitely I would just go and model this in 3D to have a realistic reflections from this side, and also better blending between the trees and CG ground, but it's not really essential. And the other thing was to cut the mask in the water, so, and I gave it a little bit smoothness, like sealer, 25 pixels. And since you firstly roughly draw this mask to cut them, I would just suggest you to turn, first start somewhere in the middle or beginning, and then click on this stopwatch button to turn on animation mode of the mask, and then start to make the beginning of it and changing the vertices like you want. For example, you see that the vertices are moving, and so first you create just the 3 points like middle, beginning and the end of the video, and then slightly you start to make again in the middle and again here in the middle between all these existing two vertices, and then start checking if the movement from the mask is right. So if it's still not accurate, you need to create additional go and create additional keyframes like I did before, like I did it here below, and you can see there are many of them, but only just in the position where they're really necessary. Yeah, so you can see the movement. It's pretty straightforward process. Like, since you learn some of the basics, I would say it's a similar way like you drawing a mask in Photoshop with a path tool, but here we just need to do it several times and to be able to animate it. Yeah, okay. And we can just take a look what we have here also. I also created this object to have some reflection in the water and some shadows. So you can see it's invisible for camera, but still casting shadows and receive shadows, also visible to reflection and refraction. And for the water material, you could see I tested it to just simple water like shader, nothing like with noise applied, just to be sure that the scale of the waves is correct and according to the existing scene. And I think that looks pretty good in the end, work it out. Also the reflections quite okay. There's definitely still a lot of things that could be improved, like small details, reflections, and stuff like that. Also make sure that your 3D model is correctly built. This mine was used from Evermotion. They had some small errors like this one, which need to be checked before you going forward with rendering. But this process is quite, I found this process quite organic in the end. I mean, if you could say it like this, because the people would see in the end like the footage with a realistic environment. There's also your building in CG, and they automatically start thinking that, wow, everything looks like CG, but like much realistic level. That's why I think it's many people are impressed by this. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave it in the description and in the comments below. And yeah, hope you enjoy it, and good luck with your projects.